Amanda here from DMG, and today I have another one of the gaming guides, and this one is from Future Press and this is for Horizon Zero Dawn. Now you may be thinking, hang on Amanda, you've already done one on Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, very unusually, Future Press actually reprinted the Horizon Zero Dawn edition. However, what they did when they did the reprint was they did the complete edition. So this edition is the original Horizon Zero Dawn edition, plus it includes the Frozen Wilds DLC, which they did as a separate edition originally, and you could not get that for hide nor hair. So this is really great that you can now get the two together. Obviously if you haven't got Frozen Wilds, then it probably isn't something that would be bother to you, but for me, I definitely really wanted the Frozen Wilds as well. Horizon Zero Dawn is one of my favourite games, so I was really keen to get this edition. So as always with Future Press guides, it's of excellent quality physically. This one's a hardback, but it's just always very good quality. You can hear lovely thick hardback cover. The pages themselves, I think you can see here, particularly on this darker page, that it's a beautiful coated paper stock, so you've got a really nice quality of the actual paper. You can see it's again a nice quality page. This edition is a huge edition, being a combined edition of the two guides, and in fact apparently it is their largest guide to date at, I think it's 832 pages or somewhere around that, so it's a pretty big guide. It also comes with this map. It is too big for me to show you in its entirety, but let me open it up and then we'll kind of slide it across the screen for you just so you get an idea. So you can just see it comes from about here. You can just see at the edge there. You can see me sliding it across, and it's still going, and it goes all the way to there, and then it's there all the way down to the bottom there. So that's that side, which is the map, and then on this side is a different map which has got a different kind of key thing going on. So that's I haven't actually looked at this in a huge amount of detail to understand the differences yet. This looks more like sort of like a topography type map and location. This one seems to have kind of where all your different critters are and quests, etc. So very nice map, again good quality and nice to have. So that comes included, and it just slides. So if you don't know where it is because you think, oh, there's mine, it should be in the back there. Sometimes if you buy these kind of second-hand, they don't always come with the maps, unfortunately, but you do have all of those maps inside, just in a different, obviously smaller format, and sometimes broken down into different sections, but they are all there, so you're not going to not have that information. It's just presented differently. So although we've gone through the Horizon Zero Dawn original book, I thought I would show you the complete edition. Again, as always, please be warned that potential spoilers, because obviously we're looking through a guide which is showing you about the game. I do always try to make sure that I keep at the beginning of each chapter, where hopefully even if you see something, it's so near the beginning of the game, it's not really giving anything away too much. Okay, so let's get cracking with the book itself. So first of all, we have our little intro, then we have our chapter overview, and then we have the first chapter, which it says here, you've got chapter 1 through to 7. Sorry, I got confused because it says chapters there and then it said chapters here, but then I realized this is like on this side it's telling you the chapter and then a brief synopsis of what that chapter's about. Here it's got the chapters and then it's breaking it down into the pages of specifically like training manual. Here it says you'll need to know the basics, learn about movement, basically game mechanics, and that's sort of explaining what that is there. On here where it says training manual, it's got basic game features in the page, exploring and navigating the page, basic combat and the page. So for a second then I was like, why have we got 2 lots of chapters? To say with this guide as well, you haven't got, oh here's the first guide and then here's the Frozen Wilds. It's all integrated into the main book, so that's really nice to start with. I was like, where's the Frozen Wilds bit? But it is all in there. It's just not necessarily completely obvious to start with. So here we are on the first chapter, which is training manual, and we've got here beautiful colour again. We've got just all about the basics of the game. This is just really game mechanics, and so that's just telling you all of that kind of information. So we've got all about the HUD, your notebook, learning. I'm not going to tell you too much because I don't want to spoil anything as best as I can. All about movement, navigation, merchants, etc, etc, and you can see all the beautiful artwork that's included as well. Oh, and then it talks about here the reaching the Frozen Wilds. So at this point you know for sure you've got the right book because it's actually mentioning it. So it tells you how you get to it because it integrates. So it tells you here how you get to it because it integrates. So it tells you how to reach the Frozen Wilds here because it completely integrates it to the main game, and so you can sort of go into the Frozen Wilds and back out again. You don't have to just go, oh right now here's the DLC. I think you do have to reach a certain point in the game before you can access it, but it is there sort of after that point for you to do as and when you please and dip in and out of as you please. So then we're talking more information about the game itself, and then we get to the hunting guide, and this is all about obviously hunting. So this is going to tell us about the different terms here. It's talking about severity, handling, tear, what all of these things mean. Then it's talking about your enemies, so it's talking about the different types of enemy here as well. And so again, some really lovely artwork. It's almost, the paper's so beautiful, it's shining so much. I'm trying to keep it so you can see different things that you need to know. I don't want to go too much into it, but you've got your status effects, so it's got all this kind of information, and you can see it's a lot of stuff. Then it's talking about your threat perception and the visual line of sights, and it gives you diagrams on that, so that's really handy to understand. And about your stealth, etc. Now this is all about weapons, so this is I don't think this is about specific weapons, but just weapons in general. So weapon ranks, modifications, etc. And then it's telling you here about your experience levels, so that's all kind of your table there. Then we've got traps and potions, and so we've got all about what they are and what the different potions are, what you need to get them, etc, what they do, and the little symbols that you'll see for them. And the artwork again on here is so pretty. Look, it's just so delicate, but it just looks really, really nice, I think. So here you've got your health potion, the ultimate healing potion. It tells you all about it. And then you've got over this other side all your kind of stats on that, and that does the same for the other things on that page as well. So, you know, antidotes, for example. again, I don't want to do too much because I don't want to give anything away if I can possibly help it. Then we've got about your different outfits. So you can get fashion here, but they obviously have different purposes. It's basically like your armor. And so it's explaining about your outfit. So we'll go to the very first one, just so you can look at that. So you get an image, and then you get the stats, and then you get some information, and then you've even got a little picture there. So you've got lots of info on all of that as well. Oh gosh, it's so heavy. And then there's lots of those. I don't want to show too many, as I said. So then we've got skills, and look at that beautiful artwork there. Isn't that gorgeous? And so it just tells you about your skill tree and what that all means, all the different things. And again, this is all about your skill tree and the different elements of the skill tree. So I'm not, again, I don't want to do too much to give it away, but it's showing you here that part of the skill tree, and then it's talking about each element for you so you can see what they all mean and just a little bit more information about them. As I say, I don't want to show you that in case you don't want to see specifically what those skills are in that skill tree, but hopefully it just gives you an idea of the kind of thing. So here, for example, it's got, say, this one here, and then you come and you can find that over here, and it gives you all the information about that particular element. And then we've got all these different ones still. Then we've got the weapons themselves. Now this is in the next chapter, by the way. I think I skipped the fact that it went up a chapter. We've moved on, I think, from chapter 1. Oh yes, we are in chapter 2 now, hunting guide. I did mention it, I just didn't register it was chapter 2. So we're now in hunting guide, and we're in weapons of hunting guide. So this is all your different weapons. Now this is what you start out with, so I don't mind showing you this. Again, beautiful artwork. So here's an image of what you've got, and then you've got information about it, and you've got another picture, more information, and some more pictures there of it, and it just looks really nice. And then it says about his normal spear, all your stats here for that spear. Again, information about the different attacks, and then damage upgrade, override upgrade. Then we've got more stats and information about those. I don't want to show too much on that, and just lots of info to help you with that. And then we move on to other weapons, which again, I didn't want to show you too much, but those are all your weapons, I think. Let's just get past those so I don't give anything too much away. And this also includes your frozen wild weapons. So ice rail is a frozen wild weapon, so it obviously, because this is both. And then we go into hunting targets. So these are basically all your critters. So we're starting off here with this particular critter. This is a common one. I don't think I'm giving away too much by showing you this one. So this is the Watcher and the Red Eye Watcher. So it gives you a picture of the two, and then it gives you your stats down here. I'll show you closer in a minute. Then it talks about the armor, then it talks about the different components, etc. And then we go over and we've got all the different attacks and how they work and what you do with them, the damage they do, etc. So it's got all that information. So on those two enemies, you've got 4 pages, and that's just on that one. And then when we go on, oh sorry, 5 pages is even more. There's strategy on that last page. And then we've got the next one, same thing, lots of information. So just to show you a little bit closer on this one. So you've got your image here, and then we've got some stats. Then you've got information at the side. Then over here you've got about the different armour, so it gives you pictures of that and explains a little bit more about that. And then down here it's explaining a little bit more about the components in the actual critter. Then it's explaining about the loot that you can get from it. And then over the other page we've got here about the attacks that it does. So it's just explaining all of that, and again with the pictures, and it's just really cool. And then on the last page we've got a strategy guide on how to deal with those particular enemy. So that is your enemy guide and how they've set that out, and that goes on to quite a long way in. Let me find, and by the way, you can see very slightly, can you see the marks just there? This is telling you where that chapter ends. Here we go, that's what I was looking for. So then the next section of enemies is your human targets. So it talks about the same sort of thing, it gives you a general overview of that. And then we have different behaviour, then the melee types that you can do, again stats on all of this, strategy for human targets, ranged attacks and stats on all of that, heavy types, so your heavy human enemies, and then specific unique enemies. Again, I'm not going to go into this in too much, I don't want you to see details, as I try my best not to give it away as I say, but you've got a specific person and then it's going to give you all the stats, the loot, recommended weapons, about them and the strategy. So that's those. Let me sort of jump past those ones. Then we've got wildlife targets. So then you've got actual real animals as opposed to machines. So there are some actual animals and it's just giving you information about them and some lovely photos. So we've got just some stats on that as well. It's hard to catch it. There we go. So it's just giving you info on each of that. And then the wildlife in the cut, that is your frozen wilds, so that's just info on that, so that's that one. And then you've got your quest guide. Now with this section I'm definitely not going to go very far in, but if you look it's going a long way up, all the way, well that's, yeah, that's the last quest there. So that's the quest, and then there's progression guides. So I'm going to keep my hand in that for the minute. So I'm just going to show you the first part of it so you can see how it kind of deals with it, but I don't want to go, as I say, too far in so it gives you any spoilers. So the first thing, as always with Future Press guides, is it does explain about the chapter and how it works. So it talks about, this is the main quest, and then you have an overview map, you have your objective chart, objective maps, combat maps, side quests and errands, activities, etc. So this is the first quest. So I'm not giving anything too away here with this. I'm not going to show you too much detail, but it's saying, right, the first quest is called A Gift from the Past. It tells you a quick overview of what that actual quest is. It doesn't give anything away because, I mean, literally it says she's trapped underground, she searches for a way out and makes a discovery that will change her life forever. So it's not telling you anything at this point, so you can safely look at it. Long as you're careful how you progress through, it's not giving it away as you're going along if you need some help. Then obviously it's got this little map, which looks kind of weird, but that's because it's underground, so I guess that's how it looks. And then you've got the objectives here, and it's telling you, so like from here, if you look at the map, it's got, say, that little yellow with a number 2, and then over here it'll say number 2 and what the adjective is at that point. And then when you go from there, it says number 2 and number 3, and it gives you more information about it here as well. So you've got that, and then we've got next map, and you can see the maps are, that's like the map that we got in the back, and that's what I was saying to you, you get that in kind of broken down. And then again, you've got more detail closer up section there of what it all means. And so you've got all of this, all these different maps, all this different information. As I said, I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to show you too much, but you can see how it works. So then this is your guide for your game progression, and this is basically really a step-by-step on, because it's such an open world, you can literally almost, not 100%, go where you want. There are some limits at the beginning, just in that you're restricted to a smaller area to start with, but once that opens up, you can pretty much go anywhere. Again, until other than Frozen Wilds, you have to get to a certain point for that to open up. But once you get to that point, you literally can do anything in any order pretty much. So it's telling you how to go through it and cover everything basically, and the recommended path in order for it to all make sense as well. So it literally just steps it out for you if you find that helpful. I personally just like to explore, but it is quite helpful if you want to be like a completionist. You want to make sure you've covered every single element. I think the bluer main quests, these in boxes are what they call flashpoints, and then the sort of taupe colour is kind of your secondary stuff that you don't have to do, but you know, I guess would be quite good. Let's just see if it says, and it must do probably somewhere, I'm just not seeing it, but that's all through to there. And then it also does the same for Frozen Wilds here, which is cool. And then recommended skill progression for beginners and for advanced players, so that's kind of helpful as well. And then optional dialogue and encounters that you might come across, so that's always helpful as well. Then we've got region guide, and it says that basically this is the maps, I guess. So this is about the chapter. It's giving you all the different points that you'll find, so different collectibles basically these are, and it's giving you the numbers and what page. So if you're looking for this collectible, number 1, then you need to go to page 649, and that will show you where that is. So if you can't find something, so you know you've got all of these collectibles, but you know you've missed the first one and you just can't find it, then you can look on page 649. It will tell you exactly where that is, and you can go ahead and find it. So that's kind of helpful. It's got the little maps, it's got a picture of where those things are as well, so that's kind of cool. I think that's all the different areas to do with this, so I think there's still all of this is all of that stuff. So then we get to the hunting gear, and this is all your merchants and what they sell. So that's always handy, because if you want a specific thing and you're like, well, where the heck was it that I got that from? So that's kind of handy to have, to know where you can get what from. So that just literally gives you a little symbol, a name, and what it will cost you. So that's also useful, because it is nothing more annoying than traversing across somewhere and only to find that you haven't got what you need to buy anyway. So that's handy. I don't know what this is. Oh, items in the world. So this is just all your different resources and things that you come across, and it's basically telling you what it is, where you can get them from, and what you can use them for. So that's again useful. So it might be you don't know, you know, you've got this thing and you're like, well, do I need to trade it, or is it something I use to craft with? Sometimes at the beginning, particularly when you get these new things, you just don't know what you want them for. And then you've got your modification information here. So this is what the modification is, and it tells you what it's compatible with, what it pairs best with, what it does for you, what the cost of it is, and just then a little general bit of information about it as well. Again, I don't want to go massively close, so I don't want to spoil anything. Treasure boxes, so what's in them basically. Next comes the notebook. This is the section that basically you do not look at until you've finished the game, because it includes spoilers. It says that it includes an in-depth character and story material alongside interviews with the Guerrilla Games different, I think there's 2 or 3 interviews with like your art director, etc. So again, it includes Frozen Wilds. This is like all your trophies, so you might want to flip to that page if you are interested in trophies, but it will give you like information about the characters. So for example, here we've got Aloy, and that tells you about her and some artwork. Now obviously as you go further in, it's got other characters and it's telling you about them, and you don't want to necessarily see them until you have finished the game, because you know that would give you spoilers, because it's giving you information about those characters. So let's just try and flick past all of these. So then we've got the interviews. That's what I was trying to get to. So we've got the narrative director, so I guess he's the guy that came up with the story, and so we've got an interview with him. Again, you see, what you don't want to do is read this unless you've played the game, because for example, it says here, what was the relationship between Aloy, who is you, the main character, and another character who I'm not going to even name. And so when he answers that, that's giving you information about the story, even knowing about that character, the other character. So you don't want to, you know, get into this until you've finished the game, because it will give you information that you really don't want to have. So that was your narrative director. Then we've got the managing director. We've got the machine combat director. I mean, there's lots of different things in here. Your art director. So beautiful artwork as well that you can see coming through on this section. So lots of nice interviews here, and then just some final thoughts, which again I don't want to show you. And then the final thing is your index and credits, and obviously your map, which I already showed you. So that is it. So it's similar but different to the original. Obviously it's just got that additional element of the Frozen Wilds, but the concept of it is pretty familiar if you're used to the Frozen, if you're used to the Future Press guides. Just to add, on most Future Press guides that I've come across, you always have one of these little ribbons as well, so you can mark your page, which is always really nice. I like that. A lot of the other guides that I've had haven't had that, and if you're working through a game, what I often do is use the guide kind of retrospectively. So I go through an area and then I'll look at the guide and think, have I missed anything that I need to, you know, go to or see, like any just not major things necessarily, because usually you've covered those, but just like a little collectible or something. Or if I'm stuck, I like to then look at the guide and just try and see if I can work out what I'm supposed to be doing, because I've got, you know, in a position where I've got stuck. And so it's quite handy having that marker, because you can keep your page marked up as to where you are, and you don't accidentally turn to the wrong page and give yourself something, you know, information that you didn't want to see. So I find that quite handy to have that. Anyway, so that is it. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition guide. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.